What's up, everybody? Week 13, rivalry week, boy, is in the books. It's done, over with, on to the next. Uh, there were a lot of big games, week 13, a lot of big rivalries that I was paying attention to. First, go over my upset alert list, because this is about to just blow your mind. I had Ohio State, they were playing at Michigan. I had Oklahoma State, they were playing against Oklahoma. Oregon against Oregon State. Alabama against Auburn, Ole Miss, Mississippi State, Michigan State, Penn State, Wisconsin, Minnesota, Texas A&M, LSU. A lot of those teams I was right about. Ohio State got beat by Michigan, and it was a great game. They were back and forth all game long, but Michigan just apparently wanted it more. Oklahoma State came out on top against Oklahoma. Uh, I didn't really watch that game, but from what I hear, there was a lot of questionable calls made. There were a lot of questionable calls not made that apparently nipped Oklahoma in the rear end, causing Oklahoma State to win that game. Oregon State. Oregon just went in there and they were like, "Hey, we're not gonna let little brother beat us today, not this year," and just dismantled them. Alabama and Auburn. This game made me mad. Auburn was leading 10-0 the entire game. Alabama went down, scored a field goal, 10-3. Late in the fourth quarter, Alabama goes down, throws a touchdown to tie the game. Do I think that should have been a touchdown? Absolutely not. I'm pretty sure, I'm not an expert, but it looked like to me the Alabama receiver pushed off of the Auburn defender, which in my eyes is automatically offensive pass interference. Is it not? But nonetheless, uh, they both score. They're 10-10. Go to overtime. First overtime, both teams score a touchdown. 17-17. Pretty sure. Yeah. Second overtime, both teams score a field goal. 2020. Third overtime, Alabama gets the ball first, or Auburn gets the ball first. They don't convert on their 2-point conversion. Got that backwards. Alabama converts on their 2-point conversion, and then Auburn does not convert. So Auburn loses 22-20. So Alabama escapes there with a win. Ole Miss and Mississippi State. Ole Miss showed up. Mississippi State showed up late. Ole Miss walked out of there with the win. Michigan State, Penn State. I don't remember. I didn't watch any of that game, but apparently it was snowing like crazy. Michigan State went in there and pulled out the 3-point win over the Nittany Lions. Wisconsin got beat by Minnesota. The Golden Gophers apparently they came to play. Wisconsin did not. Texas A&M against LSU. I thought that LSU was not going to win this, even though I had Texas A&M on upset alert. And LSU walked in there and they said, "Hey, we're going to win here. We're going to get a win streak going, and we're going to send Coach O out on a high note. We're going to go to bowl games. We're going to get a bowl game this year, and Coach O is going to leave here with a bowl game under his belt in his last season." That's what they did. LSU went in there and just messed around with Texas A&M and said, "Hey, here we go. Here we are. Last play of the game, touchdown or field goal. I don't remember what it was, but we're going to win this game by 3 points." Sounds good to me. Big games in the top 25. College game day was at the Ohio State-Michigan game up in Ann Arbor, Michigan. Ohio State was an 8-point favorite going into that game. They ended up losing by 15, 42-27. That was a number 2 team in the nation losing to Michigan, who hasn't won in 8 years. They were on an 8-game winning streak for Ohio State. Michigan said, "Hey, we're done with that. Let's go in here, get us a win, and we're going to celebrate, and we're going to be in the top 4 next week, no doubt about it." Next game was Oklahoma State at Oklahoma at Oklahoma State. Boy, Oklahoma State was a 4-point favorite, uh, and they ended up winning by 4, 37-33. Again, there were some questionable calls that were made, some questionable calls not made, causing the Sooners to lose. Oregon State, Oregon. Oregon was a 7-point favorite going into this game, and they won by 9. Yeah, 9. So they barely covered that, but hey, a cover is a cover, and if you're a favorite and you're a favorite by 7 points and you win by 9, I'd be okay with that. Especially since it's your rival. I mean, your biggest rival ever. They're playing for a golden platypus, which is honestly in my eyes a cool trophy to play for. But then you got the Egg Bowl, Ole Miss at Mississippi State. Mississippi State was a 2-point favorite. Oh, Ole Miss almost lost this game. It was 31 to shoot 14, I think, and Mississippi State was going down. They scored a touchdown. They almost came back and won, but they lost by 10. It was 31 to 21 final score. I didn't watch all of that game, but what I did watch, it was a pretty good matchup. The ranked SEC teams were Georgia at number 1, Alabama at number 3, Ole Miss at 9, Texas A&M at 15, and Arkansas at 25. Georgia is obviously going to stay number 1. There's no doubt about it. Alabama may drop, depending. Depending on how the committee looks at the Michigan win. I believe Michigan is going to jump Alabama. Alabama may drop to 4. They may stay at 3. I don't know. But Oklahoma State will probably jump to at the lowest 5, if I had to assume. And Alabama will be number 4. I don't know. But then Ole Miss, they're probably going to move up maybe to 8, depending on how far the committee decides to drop Ohio State. 2 losses, I mean, shoot. I mean, of course, both of them were against top 5 teams. When they played Oregon, the Ducks were ranked, 5, 7? I don't remember. But then Michigan comes in, and they're ranked 5. So, there you go. Texas A&M, they're going to drop a lot. Probably going to be outside the top 25. Arkansas is going to move up. I don't know where or how far or how high, but they're going to move up. SEC games. Ole Miss at Mississippi State. We've already talked about that one. Missouri at Arkansas. Give me just a second. There it is. All right. So Arkansas, Missouri. That was on Friday night. Arkansas won that game big, 34-17. Georgia Tech. Look, I said after last week, if Georgia Tech brings the same team that they brought against Notre Dame, Georgia's going to have a heyday. And I'm pretty sure that's what happened. Georgia came into Atlanta, looked at Georgia Tech and said, "Hey, you're our rival. We're not going to take it easy on you. You're going to have to earn something out here." Well, the Yellow Jackets couldn't even own. The Yellow Jackets couldn't even earn 3 points. Georgia came in there and had their day, had their way with Georgia Tech, and just dismantled them, ran them up and down the field, drug them up and down the field by their collar. 45-0 later. Georgia Tech showed up with the same team that they showed up with against Notre Dame. I don't want to hear any Notre Dame fans say that they're better than Georgia because of the fact that they beat Georgia Tech 55-0 and Georgia only beat them 45-0. Just because Georgia won by 10 points less does not make Notre Dame any better than Georgia whatsoever. When you score 45 points against your rival, you're starting to put in some backups. I'm sorry. They got a big game next week, or technically this week. SEC championship. You don't want to risk injuring your starters. No way. So any Notre Dame fans that give me give me crap about Fighting Irish being better than Georgia. Not only are Georgia Bulldogs better than Notre Dame, look at the records. Notre Dame has a loss. Georgia does not. Sure, you can say Georgia don't play nobody. Who does Notre Dame play? Nobody. They don't even have a conference. They ended up getting beat by Cincinnati. Georgia beat Cincinnati last year. Granted, that was last year. But Georgia's a lot better now than they were last year, for sure. Anyway, moving on from that. Florida State and Florida. I was pulling for the Noles because obviously I'm a Tennessee fan. I'm a Gator hater for life. The Seminoles honestly almost pulled this one off. The onside kick, not good. Kicker went by to kick it, missed it with his, or barely touched it with his right foot. Ball fell over. It went maybe 3 inches from the tee. Florida State picked it up. Obviously illegal touching. They recovered it, but since it was a penalty, Florida had the ball, just had to take a knee, walked out of there with a 24-21 win. I already talked about the Alabama-Auburn game. I was pulling for the Tigers because why not? It's an upset. Got to pull for the upset. Alabama 22, Auburn 20. Texas A&M and LSU. Already talked about it. LSU pulled the upset against Texas A&M. Clemson at South Carolina. I was kind of pulling for the Gamecocks because SEC, but Clemson had other plans. They won 30-0. I thought it was going to be closer than that, but it wasn't. Kentucky and Louisville. Kentucky had their way with the Cardinals. When you can have your way with your rival, no matter which one it is, by all means, that's a big win, honestly. Kentucky won that game 52-21. Speaking of rivals and having your way and just big wins, Vanderbilt at Tennessee. I didn't think Vanderbilt was going to score, but they did. They scored 3 touchdowns, and I thought Tennessee was going to score way more than they did. We only scored 45. I thought at the end of that game that we were going to try and go down there and put up 50. We got close. We got to the 8, I think, and just we decided to take a knee. It is what it is. We didn't even take a knee actually. We ran the ball, got to the 8, and we just let the clock run out. Hey, no need to risk anything happening late in the game, risking injuries. I mean, we're going bowling, so you don't want to risk injuries for the bowl game. Makes sense to me. But week 13 is in the books. There were some games. There were actually some teams that were one win away from going bowling. I talked about them last week. Charlotte at Old Dominion. Both of those teams were looking for a bowl game. Old Dominion came in there, got the win, 56-34. Florida State, obviously both of them were looking for a bowl win, and we've already talked about it. Florida got that win. FAU, Middle Tennessee State, both of them were looking for a bowl game. Middle Tennessee State won 27-17. LSU was looking to be bowl eligible against Texas A&M. They got that win, 27-24. Maryland, Rutgers, both looking for a bowl game. Maryland won 40-16. Tulane at Memphis. Memphis was the team looking for bowl eligibility. Memphis came in there, got the win, 33-28. UTSA at North Texas. The Mean Green were the ones looking for the bowl game, and they got the win. They pulled the upset against the ranked UTSA Roadrunners, giving UTSA their first loss of the season. But North Texas got that win, 45-23. They showed up. Fresno State at San Jose State. The Spartans were looking for their bowl game and didn't find it. Fresno State won 40-9. South Alabama was looking for their bowl game against Coastal Carolina and lost in overtime, 27-21. Pittsburgh at Syracuse. Syracuse was looking to get bowl eligible, didn't do it. They lost 31-14. TCU, Iowa State. The Horned Frogs were looking for bowl eligibility. Couldn't find it either. They lost 48-14. Tulsa was looking to be bowl eligible against SMU, and got it. They won 34-31. Virginia Tech was looking for their bowl against Virginia. They won 29-24. West Virginia was looking to be bowl eligible. They had to play Kansas. That was probably going to be an easy win. And from the looks of it, it wasn't that easy. They won 34-28 though, so they're going bowling. Troy was looking for their bowl eligibility against Georgia State. Couldn't find it. They lost 37-10. So after week 13, bowl teams are set. We've also got the conference championships that are set, and I'm going to actually go over those now. In the Pac-12, it's a rematch from last week, week 12. Oregon and Utah. They're going to be different ranks. Obviously, they were 11 this week, and Utah was 19. Both of them are probably going to move up. I think Oregon's going to try and win this game again. They want revenge. They want to win, so we'll see what happens. Conference USA, it's going to be Western Kentucky and UTSA. Obviously, the Roadrunners are going to drop out of top 25, so that's done. Big 12 is Baylor and Oklahoma State. I expect that to be a good game. That may have college football playoff implications on it, actually. We'll have to see. The MAC, Kent State and Northern Illinois. Mountain West, Utah State, San Diego State. Sun Belt, Appalachian State versus Louisiana Raging Cajun, who just lost their coach, by the way, because Florida hired him. SEC, Georgia and Alabama. The American Conference, Houston and Cincinnati. Big Ten is Michigan and Iowa. ACC, Pittsburgh and Wake Forest. Now, I'm going to talk about the the Power 5 conferences, and then I'm going to talk about the AAC, just because Cincinnati is ranked. And they're in the playoff picture right now. Pac-12, like I said, Oregon's going to be looking for their revenge over Utah after the shellacking that they took to the Utes last week. 38-7 was that score. I think Oregon's going to go in here and they're going to get the win just because they know what they're playing for and they do not want to lose to Utah twice. I think Oregon, if they do win, if they do pull out the win, it's going to be close. I think it's going to be a 3-point victory at the most. Honestly, I'm no expert, but I think Oregon's going to get that win by 3. Big 12, Baylor and Oklahoma State. Like I said, this probably has college football playoff implications on it. Obviously, Oklahoma State's ranked 7 right now, and Baylor is what, 10? What are they? What are they? Oh, they're 8. Sorry. So Oklahoma State, Baylor, with each other in the rankings right now, 7 and 8. They're both going to move up, probably, maybe, since they both had wins over their rivals, and yeah. But Baylor and Oklahoma State, I think the Cowboys are probably going to win this. They both beat Oklahoma. Let me compare and contrast here. So both actually the last 3 weeks. Baylor actually beat Oklahoma by more points than Oklahoma State. It was a 27-14 victory for Baylor, 37-33 victory for Oklahoma State. You can't really look at those games and say Baylor's better than Oklahoma State because of blah 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 blah. You can't say Oklahoma State's better than Baylor compared to in this game because blah 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 blah. Look, when you are playing in a rivalry game like the Bedlam Showdown, anything can happen. I feel like if both of these teams were winless, one of them's going to look like they've been playing, or they could look like they've been undefeated all season. Or they could be both undefeated in the season and go into this game and look like they've never played football. But I think Oklahoma State's going to get this win over Baylor. They're a 5-point favorite, and I think that's probably all it's going to be is 5-point difference. SEC, Georgia and Alabama. Obviously, Georgia's ranked number 1. Alabama's probably going to drop maybe 2. I don't know. Georgia is a 6.5-point favorite. I think Georgia's going to have a bigger margin of victory than that. I think they're going to win at least by 10. Georgia's defense is phenomenal. Alabama's offense, they're shaky. They've got a lot of questions. So I think Georgia's going to win this by 10 at the lowest. Michigan and Iowa. Iowa showed that they're beatable. Obviously, they've lost how many games? 3, 4? I don't even remember. Hold on. Oh, they've only lost 2 games. Okay, sorry. So they're pretty close. Michigan is a 10.5-point favorite, and I think they're gonna cover that with ease. I think Michigan's coming off a huge win against Ohio State, so they're looking to just win the Big Ten and play in the college football playoff for the first time since it's been a thing. I think Michigan's gonna win this by 3 touchdowns. I haven't seen anything from Iowa since the beginning of the season before they lost their first game that really impresses me. I mean, they were ranked 16 before the next ranks come out. So Michigan was ranked 5. I mean, you can't argue. Michigan did just beat the second best team in the nation, so the Wolverines are probably going to have their way with the Hawkeyes. That's just my opinion. ACC, Pittsburgh and Wake Forest. Pittsburgh is a 3-point favorite. Do I think Wake Forest can turn it around and win? I don't know. Pittsburgh's a pretty good team. I think Pittsburgh's actually going to get this win at least by a touchdown, but we'll see. The American Conference, you got Houston and Cincinnati. Cincinnati is playing for the playoffs. Houston's just playing spoiler at this point. Cincinnati is a 10.5-point favorite, and I think Cincinnati's going to cover that. If they don't, it's going to be closer than that. It's either going to be a 3, 7, or 10-point victory. But either way, I think Cincinnati's going to come in there, and they're not going to let the Cougars play spoiler and ruin their chances of a college football playoff. So we'll see what happens there. We'll see what happens actually all next week. Hope for the best and see what happens. But just remember, college football playoffs are right around the corner. Speaking of, I've got this wonderful little board here. You've got the current top 6 here: Georgia, Ohio State, Alabama, Cincinnati, and then Michigan, Notre Dame, the first 2 out. You got the bracket over here with those teams the way they are. Obviously, it's Georgia against Cincinnati right now, Ohio State versus Alabama, and then Michigan and Notre Dame watching from outside. Obviously, those are going to change. Michigan's going to be in, Ohio State's going to be out, probably. Notre Dame is probably going to be 5, in my opinion. Alabama maybe 5. I don't know. We'll see what happens. But this is my prediction. Alabama's going to get beat by Georgia, so they're going to drop to 6. Notre Dame's going to move up to 5. Georgia's going to stay number 1. Michigan's going to be number 2. That's actually going to be what the rank is this week, I feel like. Cincinnati will be 3. And then after Oklahoma State wins the Big 12, they're going to be 4. So I think it's going to be Georgia against Oklahoma State, which would be probably a good game, and Michigan against Cincinnati. So 4 new teams, 3 new teams in the college football playoff, because we have seen Georgia in the playoffs before. They beat Oklahoma in the semifinal, and they played Alabama and lost, I think, in overtime. They beat Oklahoma in overtime, lost to Alabama in regulation late in the game. They ran a play, ran out of time. But that's all I got time for today, folks. I will see you all probably before. When's the first conference championship game? probably before 7 o'clock on Friday. But then again, I've already given my predictions and my analysis of the conference championship week. So who knows? I may just see you after this week. We'll see. But so long for now. Remember, subscribe if you want to. Drop a comment below. Like this video. Give me some love. Give me some criticism. Whatever you want to give, I'm all about. But subscribe. You can click up here. And I hope you all have a great day. Love y'all. Peace.